One of the biggest Yellowstone mysteries about Kevin Costner's John Dutton II can be solved in the next 2 months. The Yellowstone franchise could solve one of its biggest lingering mysteries about John Dutton II in just the next few months. Although the flagship series ended after 5 seasons and Yellowstone's John Dutton II, Kevin Costner is now dead. 1923 tells the story of previous generations of Duttons who lived and worked on the ranch before John became the family patriarch. 1923 is one of several shows that depict the entire saga of the Dutton family, turning the franchise into a generational series. There are still many stories left to be told about Yellowstone's main family. However, 1923 Season 2 will be the final season of this particular chapter before 1944 premieres. This disappointing news makes it vital that 1923 fills in the remaining blanks about this generation of Duttons that occupied the Yellowstone Ranch before passing it on to their descendants. There is one mystery in particular that 1923 is perfectly positioned to solve as it heads into its second and last season. 1923 has kept the identity of John's grandparents under wraps for almost the entire series. John Dutton, Sr., James Badge Dale, was widely believed to be John's great-grandfather, but his death in 1923 Season 1, Episode 4, without having a son named John, confused the issue. There was soon speculation that John Sr.'s son, Jack, Darren Mann, was John Dutton IE's grandfather. This 1923 theory appeared to be squashed by Elizabeth's, Michelle Randolph, injuries during the shootout that killed John Sr., as she was hit in the abdomen, which could interfere with her having children. Of course, Elizabeth's injuries happened at a time when there was comparatively little knowledge about such medical issues, so it's possible the doctor was wrong about her ability to conceive. In this case, Jack and Elizabeth could still have John Dutton too, who would go on to be the father of John Dutton II. Conversely, if Elizabeth remains unable to have children, that leaves 1923's Spencer, Brandon Sklinner, and Alexandra, Julia Schlapfer, as potential parents to John Hugh. They then could name the baby after Spencer's late brother. Elsa's Isabel May opening narration in the 1923 pilot explains that only one of James Dutton's, Tim McGraw, 3 sons survives to adulthood to carry on the family line. It wouldn't make sense to end 1923 without making it clear which of the sons she is talking about. Answering that question requires revealing who John Dutton IE's grandfather is, as that's the only way the family line could continue. Thus, if 1923 doesn't solve this mystery before it goes off the air, it will be breaking its promise from its premiere episode. Technically, 1923 doesn't have to answer this question because 1944 will soon premiere. However, leaving the mystery open risks alienating audiences that have been expecting an answer since 1923's first episode. Furthermore, these Yellowstone spin-offs demonstrate that the franchise is a multi-generational family saga. Filling in another blank in the family tree would fit the Yellowstone franchise's brand, while providing a satisfying ending to 1923. One of the biggest mysteries surrounding Kevin Costner's character, John Dutton IE, in Yellowstone has lingered in the hearts of fans ever since the series began. Why is John Dutton, the patriarch of the Dutton family and owner of the largest contiguous ranch in the United States, seemingly so emotionally distant, particularly with his children? There have been endless theories, speculation, and heated discussions about what drives his mysterious behavior. But as the show progresses into its final season, we might finally get the answers we've been waiting for. The next 2 months could reveal what has truly shaped the complex, tortured man we've come to know and love, or at least come to understand him better than ever before. It's clear that John Dutton is no stranger to pain. From the moment we meet him, we see a man burdened by loss, making sacrifices to preserve his land and legacy at all costs. His stoic demeanor and refusal to open up have led many to believe that his emotional isolation is a result of years of trauma. But what is the root of that trauma? Is it the brutal nature of the ranching business, the ruthless fights to defend the Dutton legacy, or could it be something much deeper? The series has hinted at various sources of pain: the death of his beloved wife, Evelyn, the loss of his son, Lee, and the betrayal from those closest to him. However, it's the events surrounding his relationship with his children that hold the key to understanding John Dutton's inner world. John's strained relationship with his son, Case Dutton, is one of the central emotional dynamics of Yellowstone. From their rocky start, where Case returns home after serving in the military and struggling with his own trauma, to the complicated father-son bonding moments that seem to verge on reconciliation, there's always an underlying tension. John's inability to fully embrace Case or express love and forgiveness has been a mystery for fans, even as Case has sought his approval. The bond between father and son has often felt strained, perhaps because John is afraid of losing more of his loved ones, especially when he's already lost so much. What if John's distance is his attempt at self-preservation? What if, deep down, he fears that being too close to those he loves only invites more pain and loss? This unresolved emotional conflict could provide a huge breakthrough in understanding John Dutton in the final episodes. But then there's Beth, John's only daughter. Their relationship is an even more tangled web. From the very first season, it's clear that Beth is damaged, harboring years of unresolved anger and grief, much of it stemming from her relationship with her father. John's coldness towards Beth, particularly during her troubled teenage years, has caused her to push back, to live in a constant state of defiance and rage. Beth's difficult relationship with her father is a key component of her own troubled personality, which has led to her seemingly self-destructive behavior. But as much as they fight, there are moments when John's love for Beth peeks through his rough exterior. Could John's distance be a result of guilt? Could he blame himself for the pain his daughter has endured, for her emotional scars, and for the way he may have failed to protect her from the very world that has left her broken? As we approach the final chapters of Yellowstone, it seems likely that the true nature of John's feelings for Beth and his role in her pain will be exposed. While we've seen glimpses of John's soft spots through his complex interactions with his children, the most intriguing aspect of his emotional journey has been his relationship with his land and the legacy he's protecting. John Dutton's role as a protector of the ranch is inextricably tied to his identity, and it's here that the mystery of his character deepens. For years, John has sacrificed his own happiness, his relationships, and even his health to ensure that the Dutton Ranch remains intact. But why? Is it out of love for his ancestors or a desperate attempt to maintain control over the one thing that gives his life meaning? As the show has made clear, John is willing to do anything to keep his land, even if it means putting his own family at risk. But this singular focus on protecting the ranch could be part of a larger psychological drive, a need to hold on to the past, to preserve his identity, and to shield himself from the trauma of a world that's constantly changing. In the next 2 months, we might see John face the ultimate decision. Will he continue to sacrifice everything, including his family, for the land, or will he finally choose to confront the emotional wounds that have festered for so long? And then there's the looming question of John's own mortality. As the series progresses, John Dutton's age becomes more apparent. In a conversation with Rip in Season 4, John openly contemplates his own death. As John grows older, we see him grappling with his place in the world and the consequences of his life choices. What if the mystery surrounding John's emotional detachment is actually a reflection of his fear of the inevitable? The possibility of John's death, or his weakening health, could prompt a reckoning with his past, forcing him to confront all the emotions he spent years burying. Could John finally open up, make peace with his past, and resolve the issues with his children before it's too late? These next 2 months may bring clarity not just to John's personal struggles, but to his understanding of what really matters in the end. It's also worth considering the role of the Yellowstone Ranch itself in solving this mystery. As the show has illustrated, the land is more than just property to the Duttons. It's a symbol of heritage, family, and power. But the ranch has also been a source of pain, loss, and conflict. As we move toward the show's conclusion, there may be a shift in how John perceives his relationship with the land. Perhaps the mystery of his emotional isolation will be tied to his eventual realization that the ranch is not the only thing worth fighting for.